Hi, my name is Ken Bereskin. I'm the Director of Operating System Technology in Worldwide Product Marketing at Apple Computer. Welcome to the macOS 10 Server Learn to Earn tape. During this session, you'll hear from the various product managers at Apple responsible for the key components, the key ingredients that make macOS 10 Server a really great server product. And we look forward to being able to share in-depth information about the features and the benefits and the technologies that make up this very exciting product. After viewing the entire tape, you will receive instructions on how you can gain Learn and Earn points by viewing this tape on macOS 10 Server. Apple is very pleased to be able to announce the availability of macOS 10 Server, and the rest of this presentation will describe the product and its features and benefits and technology in much more depth. But before we talk about macOS 10 Server specifically, let's talk about servers at Apple. Increasingly, computers are connected together, whether it be local area networks across the internet, and servers become increasingly important to Apple's customers. At Apple, our goal for building servers is similar to our goals of building the best possible computer, but we're focused specifically on the areas of helping users get connected, helping people deliver content to as many users as possible, and an overriding goal of making administration as simple as possible. In terms of connecting users, this implies making it easy for people to communicate via email, to share files between discrete Macintosh systems, or just general networking solutions. For delivering content, our publishing customers are looking for new ways of delivering information, whether it's through the web and other internet technologies, or more traditional print and digital publishing environments. In terms of administration, we want to make it as simple as possible to set up, install, configure a network environment that allows you to get the benefits of networking without the costs of complexity and difficulty. These are some of the base principles that Apple truly stands for, in which Apple servers differentiate themselves. macOS 10 Server is Apple's first modern operating system product, and it very much delivers on the goals and the benefits and the capabilities that we see Apple contributing to the world of networking and the world of servers. In particular, this is a first major release in a new line of server software products, and we have very specific goals for this first release. For anybody that's looking for a great product for building and hosting web and other internet services and solutions, macOS 10 Server is going to be a great product. For people that are looking to publish information, whether it's the overall print publishing industry or looking for new ways to foster workflow or collaboration solutions in a publishing environment, again, macOS 10 Server has the key capabilities that make that a high-performance, very reliable way to communicate and publish information. And finally, people are looking for new ways to network Macintosh together, whether it's a work group of Macs connected, whether it's a classroom or a lab environment. And macOS 10 Server features an incredible new technology called NetBoot that can dramatically address costs due to network administration and the total cost of ownership for a network environment. You'll learn much more about each of these features and benefits later in the video presentation. We're really excited about macOS 10 Server, the first product in our new line of server solutions from Apple. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Ernest Prabhakar. I'm the product manager for macOS 10 Server, and it's my pleasure to tell you a little bit more about how we built this incredibly powerful server that Apple is pleased to be delivering to its customers. To build this server, we focused on three key areas. First, building a really powerful modern foundation for the core technologies. Secondly, wrapping it with some powerful open standards so it can interoperate well with other systems. And third, wrapping it in some great internet and workgroup services, so you have some great value out of the box and with key third-party products. The foundation we're using is macOS 10, the same technology that will be in the macOS 10 desktop release around the end of this year. What we're looking to do is take that same foundation and deliver it as part of macOS 10 Server, a server operating system available today. There's really three key things we're trying to do with this powerful foundation. First of all, we want to make sure it's really rock solid to make sure that we really deliver the best possible stability and efficiency for our key customers. One of the ways we're doing that is by building it on top of the powerful Mach microkernel, an advanced technology used by many companies that we've taken and optimized for the needs of Apple customers. Two of the key services provided by this microkernel are protected memory and preemptive multitasking. Protected memory allows each application to run its own little sandbox so that if it has problems, it doesn't mess up the server or other services. Each process has its own huge 4 GB virtual memory space, which is dynamically allocated to by the system as needed. You don't have to worry about allocating memory ahead of time. Everything is taken care of automatically. The second key thing that this core operating system offers is preemptive multitasking. Preemptive multitasking is the ability to run multiple services very efficiently. I like to think of it as if there was a kindergarten teacher in the classroom. In today's Mac OS and other operating systems, it's often as if each process is like a little kid, each trying to get their own resources as much as they want, and you can't get them to cooperate with each other very easily. Preemptive multitasking is like having a teacher there and making sure that each student takes their turn speaking and getting food, etc. In the same way, preemptive multitasking makes sure that all the resources of the server are being used as efficiently as possible so you can get a lot of things done. Between protected memory and preemptive multitasking, you can get a lot of things done real fast without crashing, which is what the goal is. What this gives you is full Unix-style process management, the same sort of technology that's delivered the powerful servers that serve the internet today. One of the ways we demonstrate the power of the preemptive multitasking and protected memory is through the graphical process viewer we include in Mac OS X Server. This allows you to see everything that's happening on your server and to make sure that the memory and CPU is being allocated efficiently. You're also able to start and stop processes by using the graphical tools in case there's any problems, and you don't even have to restart the server after it happens. Everything just keeps going very smoothly because of the powerful core operating system underlying this technology. The second key goal of the core operating system is providing great performance. We really believe that with the power of the operating system and Apple hardware, you'll be able to get best-in-class performance. One of the ways you can see this is by the fact that Mac OS X Server is a fully native PowerPC operating system. Everything has been compiled and optimized to work on the G3 processor. There's no emulation code involved, so you're really getting advantage of every dollar you spend on Apple hardware. In addition, we're working very hard to make the operating system fully multi-threaded and concurrent. That means many things can happen at the same time. You don't spend time waiting for disk access or network access to take place. You can efficiently switch between them very quickly and efficiently. In fact, you can even support multiple network interfaces and multiple SCSI cards on the same server. We're so proud of this, we actually include a 4-port Ethernet card in the server, so you can blast hundreds of megabits at a time across the network when you have the hardware bundle. In addition, we've been working very hard to optimize our operating system to function as a server, file server, and web server by optimizing both our network performance as well as our file system performance. We're very pleased to announce that we have achieved best-in-class performance running the Apache web server using the standard Webbench tests, comparing the Macintosh server G3 with Mac OS X Server to comparable configurations from Dell and Sun. So for a very affordable price, you can get Mac OS X Server and get the best possible web serving performance, as well as file serving performance as measured by the NetBench test suite. We've been working very hard to make sure that not only is Mac OS X Server very powerful and fast, but also to make sure that we have really great ease of use at the same time. So you get all this power in a very easy to use bundle. We provide a very standard, simple Mac-like installation and setup experience. If you're using a standard Macintosh Server G3 with Mac OS X Server pre-installed at the factory, you can get up and running in less than 5 minutes for basic file and web services. If you want to do a full software install on any Power Macintosh G3 or Macintosh Server G3 system, it still only takes you less than a half hour to get up and running with a fully functional web server or file server. The real key to doing all of this is a very powerful yet friendly setup assistant, inspired by the same version that we used in the Mac OS 8 product for desktop users. However, this setup assistant is designed to work with server users and allow you to configure services, security, and other things peculiar to server systems. You have a fully functional access to the network interface cards, so you can specify the IP addresses as well as which services are available on each port. You can in fact even set up multiple network interfaces through the same setup assistant process. Another way that we really facilitate ease of use in setup and administration is a shared network directory service called NetInfo, which manages user and group information. The Network Manager tool shown here allows you to manage users, groups, shared volumes with other server computers, as well as IP addresses for other computers on the network, making it very easy for you to configure a single server to act as a master for all the other servers on your network. This makes it very easy to manage any single server from any other server on the network, as well as to integrate with other Unix systems that you may have on your network. On top of this very powerful core with great stability, performance, and ease of use, we provide some great open standard technologies to really help this integrate into other environments. The big question people have about new operating systems is, what can I do with it? What will it run? What will it work with? And by leveraging open standards, we're able to answer that question, so you have some great solutions available on day one. One of the things we've done is make sure that our core operating system technologies really leverage what's happened out there. We rely on the Mach microkernel, which has been used, as I mentioned, by several different computer companies as the basis of their operating system products. We've wrapped that in a full BSD 4.4 Unix type environment, allowing you to really easily port standard Unix server applications from other platforms on top of Mac OS X Server. We also provide full support for 100% pure Java, so that you're able to get advantage of all the existing compatible applications written for those specs. The implementation is based on JDK 116 and features full native support for native threads and objects to give you great reliability and efficiency. So we're very excited about being able to provide a number of solutions on day one for Mac OS X Server that leverage these core technologies. In addition, we provide great interoperability with Mac OS X Server in a number of key areas. First of all, we support native TCP/IP as our networking protocol, leveraging the same BSD TCP/IP stack that many operating systems have leveraged today for connecting to the internet. Secondly, we also provide standard AppleTalk services to allow you to easily integrate with legacy Apple systems. On the file system side, we of course support the standard macOS formats, macOS Standard and Extended Format, or HFS and HFS Plus. However, for this release of Mac OS X Server, we use the macOS Server format, or UFS file system, which supports POSIX file system semantics. This makes it very easy to port over standard Unix server applications. But you can still share files between standard macOS Extended and standard format volumes as well. In addition, for interoperability, we support the ISO 9660 CD-ROM format, as well as some great networking protocols, including the Sun NFS system for talking to Unix systems, as well as the AFP services from Apple for connecting to Apple volumes. Now let's take a look at the Mac OS X Server user interface and see some of the great ease of use technologies that make this such a wonderful product for Apple customers. On top of this powerful foundation and open standards, we've created some really exciting internet and workgroup functionality. 4 of these services are bundled in with Mac OS X Server. Others are available from third-party providers. The 4 key services in Mac OS X Server are 2 internet services, the Apache Web Server and WebObjects application services, as well as 2 workgroup services, NetBoot Workgroup Management and Apple File Services. The first of these is the Apache Web Server. Apache, for those of you who have not heard of it, is the leading web server on the internet today. According to the latest surveys, over half the websites on the public internet make use of Apache in one of its many variants. Apache is what is known as an open source development effort. The Apache Group is a coalition of developers around the world who work together to ensure that Apache is the most efficient and reliable web server in existence by providing patches, ports, optimizations, and new features. We're very excited to take a standard version of Apache 1.3.4 and make that available as part of the standard distribution of Mac OS X Server, making the great power of Apache available to Apple customers. We've done 3 things to really optimize Apache to work well with Mac OS X Server's environment and vice versa. First of all, we've optimized Mac OS X Server's operating system to provide great file and networking services in support of Apache, delivering best-in-class performance for the Apache web server. Secondly, we've integrated in Apache into our standard setup assistant and control panels, so you can very easily set up Apache with just a single button to get up and running. If you want to do more advanced Apache configuration, we provide all the standard Apache configuration files, so you can bring over an Apache configuration from other Unix servers, and things will pretty much just work as long as you match up the file system layout. In addition, we provide the full suite of Unix tools for supporting Apache implementations, whether that's network protocols such as Telnet and FTP, or scripting languages such as Perl. You can take all your favorite Apache tools and techniques and bring them directly over to Mac OS X Server and take advantage of our ease of use and performance.
Hi, I'm Alan Dennis, and I'm here to talk to you about WebObjects. WebObjects is one of the key components to Mac OS X Server, and I'd like to go through that product with you right now. What is WebObjects is essentially what I'm going to talk about today. Essentially, WebObjects is a fast and flexible way to create very high-performance application servers. Application servers is a term that may be foreign to you, so let me kind of go through some background for you on where applications came from in the market. Essentially, if you look at an existing IT infrastructure, you have a series of clients out in the network, and then you have a web server. And what people have tried to do recently is take information from mainframes, databases, ERP systems, and various other servers in the back end of their server infrastructure, and put the content into HTML files so that they can deliver that content out to their users or their clients out in the internet. What application servers do are congregate that information from those back-end systems for you in the form of applications. Those applications in turn generate HTML for you automatically that are then vended out to the web server and then out to the clients. These application servers are very scalable. You place a number of application servers in the background and they can take up to millions of hits a day. And I'm going to go through some examples of applications that are doing that just now with WebObjects. Another feature of application servers is that they can run on any appropriately sized hardware, meaning they don't have to run on high-end server systems that you normally are used to in the database world. A Macintosh Server G3 system is sufficient to service the needs of millions of users hitting your application servers on a daily basis. So WebObjects combined with macOS 10 Server run on Macintosh hardware is a perfect configuration for these kinds of apps. WebObjects itself is considered the #1 application server in the market. We can justify that through the over 3,000 customers that we have, and we are also the first application server on the market in 1996 with over 3 years of experience in this market. We're also the fastest performing application server with the best scalability also. We have more functionality built into the product, more than any of our competitors, and we have a very highly regarded architecture for being able to service the needs of very sophisticated applications. We also have more partners providing solutions such as e-commerce, asset management, and other types of applications built on WebObjects. And we have the best ties to visual development tools or design tools. Adobe GoLive and Macromedia Dreamweaver are a couple of the visual design tools that we work with. And we're currently ranked #1 in the Java Developers Journal poll for Reader's Choice in the application server category. All those represent how we can represent ourselves as the leader in this market. I'd just kind of go through some of the uses of application servers. I've mentioned a few. Dynamic publishing, brand building, e-commerce, client services, asset management, and intranet applications are just a few of the types of applications you can create with application servers. I'd like to go through some of the customers that are using WebObjects to develop these kinds of applications. In the area of dynamic publishing, the BBC News uses WebObjects to take news stories from a workflow system in their back-end systems to publish stories on demand. As they get approved in their workflow process, they're published dynamically on their site as they come available. Another site that's kind of different is Consumers Digest, where they have a lot of information about consumer products online, searchable across many different product categories, and WebObjects drives that for all the products that they provide. In the area of e-commerce, Disney does all of their e-commerce based on WebObjects. A couple of the stores are the Disney Store and the ESPN Store. They also do online travel arrangements through their travel site. Another site that's very popular is the Apple Store. The Apple Store does millions of dollars of business a day with tens of thousands of users shopping on the site, being able to do their build-to-order systems and custom configurations from a WebObjects application. Another area of focus for WebObjects applications is an area of customer care. MCI does all of their bill presentment and online customer service through a WebObjects application. So you can view your bills online, you can change your PIN numbers for your phone access, your voicemail access, and also any configuration on your long-distance service, such as setting up call waiting and other options. The other area of interest is online banking. Bank of Boston is an example of a bank that has fully standardized on WebObjects to implement their online banking solution. And their application is so sophisticated, it's very much like what you would find in a desktop application for doing personal finance. So those are round out the kinds of applications that you can implement with WebObjects. I'd just like to go through what's included with macOS 10 Server. WebObjects on the disk that's included in macOS 10 Server includes a full suite of developer tools. That includes doing database object modeling, integrated development environment, plus all the visual tools for doing your HTML and Java layouts. We also provide a set of object-oriented frameworks to build upon with many examples of how to create your own applications. We also provide the runtime for serving up to 50 transactions per minute with macOS 10 Server. That can be upgraded by buying additional licenses for the unlimited levels. We also provide deployment tools to allow you to monitor your applications as they're running and also test them before you actually deploy your applications. Also included in the macOS 10 Server box is a demo CD with a series of third-party solutions for WebObjects developers, including an e-commerce solution titled RS Commerce, and also a reporting application for doing PDF reports in your WebObjects applications. In summary, I want to go through how WebObjects is the market-leading application server in the market, with over 3,000 customers using WebObjects today and deployed applications. There are diverse sets of applications that have been developed, including e-commerce, asset management, intranet applications, and also dynamic publishing applications. And macOS 10 Server includes everything you need to develop and deploy these applications on Macintosh hardware. As you've heard before, macOS 10 Server is one of the fastest operating systems on the market. According to a recent ZD Labs test, macOS 10 Server running on Power Macintosh G3 hardware is the fastest performing Apache web server. At under $5,000, it is the best price performance server on the market. To help demonstrate this, we will now run a video of Steve Jobs demonstrating the performance of macOS 10 Server at the January 1999 Macworld Expo.
What I'd love to do now is just show you a little bit. So could I get out a Power Mac G3 running macOS 10 Server, and I'm going to use an iMac as a client. So this Power Mac G3 server, this Power Mac G3 running macOS 10 Server, we're going to sell this in a server configuration with a 1/4 gigabyte of RAM, 2 9-gigabyte Ultra 2 SCSI drives, and a board that has 400 megabit Ethernet ports on it, all for $49.99. So that's an under $5,000 server. You can buy the software if you want separate, but we'll sell completely bundled, ready to go configs. And I've got an iMac here as a client. So I'm just going to log in. And what we're going to see is I'm pulling stuff off the server. Now, how do you know I'm pulling stuff off the server here? Well, because on this iMac, I took out the hard drive. I made this into a diskless Macintosh to demonstrate how fast sucking stuff off the server is. Because with 100 megabit Ethernet, it's faster to get stuff off the server often than it is off your local hard disk. So I'm going to just go ahead and launch an app, let's say. And I'll just launch AppleWorks here. So this is AppleWorks coming right off the server. You see how fast it's launching. I'm bringing up a document. Here's a document. Again, everybody that had permission could share this from the server. But just a simple AppleWorks document. Very, very simple. Now, let me go to the internet. So I'll click on Internet Explorer. Click on it there. There we go. So I'm loading Internet Explorer, again off the server. And now I'm going to point to an internet site. Well, what's the internet site I'm pointing to? The internet site I'm pointing to is also running on that very same server. Because we can do all sorts of things at the same time. So the internet site is running on Apache on this same server, and we wrote a WebObjects app in a few hours that just gave me this simple application, running with Apache all on that server. So I could say, well, this is cool. Let me go ahead and look at some QuickTime video. So let me go ahead and play this video here. Again, coming over the server. It's about a megabit per second streaming over the server. It takes a few seconds.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cracked your head aside and said I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me. Saying,
again, 1 megabit per second video streaming off the server to a diskless client. No problems at all. Okay. Now, this is pretty cool. But, I mean, you know, one server, one client, you probably wouldn't do that. Right? You probably want this configuration when you have a bunch of clients. Let's say a classroom of, 50 iMacs. So why don't we bring one of those out here? So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start these puppies all up remotely, and they're each going to play their own QuickTime movie. They're not synchronized. They're not sharing the same stream. This is 49 different streams, feeding 49 different iMacs, all off this one server. So let's go ahead and start that up. It'll take a second or two to start up here. Here we go. And we got 3 different movies that are playing, and they're playing all out of sync. And as a matter of fact, I got the 50th iMac here, so why don't I go ahead and start that up too. As they get access to the server, they're going. There we go.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Got your head aside and I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me.
So, Mac OS X server. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Hi, I'm Chris Borden, NetBoot Server Product Manager in OS Technologies at Apple Computer. Mac OS X Server is Apple's first modern, high-performance server platform and the first iteration of the Mac OS X operating system line. Not only includes a high-performance, scalable foundation, but also includes many new, amazing services for use on the networks. And one of those great new services is the NetBoot Server. And the NetBoot Server is a new way to manage Macintosh workgroups. Traditionally, managing computer networks meant having to go around and manage every single CPU on the network. Each hard drive had to have an operating system and applications, and each one of those hard drives needed to be the same for consistency across the network. This meant administrators had to physically interact with every machine. They had to make sure that each drive was the same and that users weren't putting things like viruses and bad things on the network that would cause damage. With the NetBoot Server technology, we've moved all of these things, the resources that are required by the desktop computer, to the server. And each of these machines gets the stuff from the server instead of from its local hard drive. That means that an administrator's role in administering those desktops is made far easier. It also means that they gain incredible amounts of control over their network, not only by designating specifically what the systems and applications available to the users are, but also in managing those users and controlling their access on the network. It also means that setting up new computers is very simple. Plug in the Ethernet cable and you're ready to go. And lastly, it means that they can provide all the applications and services securely to all their users anywhere on the network the user is. As a little background of how the NetBoot Server works. Historically, computers boot from their local hard drive. They use a system folder on the hard drive and they use applications from the hard drive. The NetBoot Server allows clients to get those system resources and applications from the server at startup instead. The client computer sends a request to the server on the network that it wants to start up, and it wants to use the server as its startup volume. In response, the server sends information to that computer that automatically configures its internet settings and gives them the information needed to begin the boot process. The client then accepts that information and begins downloading the operating system and starts booting from it as if it were its local drive. The great thing isn't so much that one machine can do this, but that every NetBoot capable machine on the network uses the same version of the operating system and the same version of the applications available on the server. This means for administrators that they can administer this one server in one place, and all the machines that boot from this server get the same configurations. That means updating applications or updating system configurations in one place, one time, updates every machine on the network. But the really great thing is that all the NetBoot-capable Macintoshes on the network share the same system resources and applications stored on the server. This means that there is one single physical point of administration on the network. Administrators can sit down at any NetBoot Macintosh using our NetBoot desktop admin tools and configure the system and add applications as if they were managing one single Macintosh. And those changes then affect all the NetBoot-capable Macintoshes on the network. While the NetBoot server includes all these great tools for administrators, it also includes a full, no-compromises Macintosh experience for end users. Your users can sit down at any Macintosh on the network and securely access their applications, files, and personal desktops. This means that no matter where they are in the network, their Mac follows them around. We've also included great tools for network administrators. Network administrators want control over their networks. They want to define the users that have access to the resources on the network, and they want to be able to provide and set system policies. The Macintosh Manager application does this for them. It allows them to set up users in workgroups to provide user authentication on the network. Users log into their NetBoot Macintoshes and get validated and authenticated against the server. It also means that administrators can control access to resources on the network, like volumes and printers. And it also lets administrators provide different interfaces for different kinds of users. Advanced users can have the Finder interface, and new users or young children can have simple point-and-click panels interface. And lastly, the NetBoot administration environment also integrates your existing Macintoshes. The Macintosh management client software is included with the NetBoot server and is installable on as many Macintosh local start computers as you'd like. While these machines can't get their operating system and applications from the server, they can participate in the user authentication and security policies set up by the administrator. The NetBoot server architecture is plug and play. All iMacs and the new blue and white G3s have built-in compatibility for NetBoot. That means there's nothing to configure to start up a machine on a NetBoot network. Simply plug in the Ethernet cable and turn on the power, and you can NetBoot from the server immediately. There are many great environments in which to use the new NetBoot server. For educators who want to spend more time teaching children and less time administering their networks, it's great for classrooms and for labs. It alleviates the resource requirements historically needed by complicated networks. In our small business environment, administration users who need simple interfaces and simple access to applications who don't need complicated environments, this is perfect for them as well. For design and publishing customers, doing editorial work and having to manage their daily routines with workflow applications, NetBoot clients make perfect complements to these needs. And lastly, NetBoot is all about the network. It's about putting the Macintosh on the network. So anywhere a network is, the Mac OS can be. The NetBoot Server CD is included with Mac OS X Server and includes Mac OS 8.5.1 for all your NetBoot clients. It also includes all the applications that are bundled with Mac OS 8.5. This includes Microsoft's Internet Explorer, Outlook Express, and Netscape Navigator. We've also included management tools like the Macintosh Manager for setting up users and workgroups and defining system policies on the network, and also the NetBoot Desktop Admin. This lets you sit down at any NetBoot-capable Macintosh and configure the system and applications like you'd like them for the entire network. It makes it as easy as managing a single Mac. Now I want to show you some of the great features of the NetBoot server and tell you how it works. To start a Macintosh from the server instead of from its local hard drive, you turn on the power key and hold down the N key for the first time. Every time the Macintosh boots from then on, it'll use the server until you tell it to use the local drive using the startup disk. At boot time, the Macintosh sends out a BootP request on the network. BootP is a standard internet protocol for dynamically configuring computers on the network and allowing them to obtain information about themselves at boot time. The server receives these requests and packages up information about that client's IP configuration and, most importantly, the path to that client's operating system and sends it back to the client. The client receives the information from the server, configures its IP settings, and begins downloading the operating system from the server using the path provided by the server. The client uses a TFTP protocol, or Trivial File Transfer Protocol, a standard internet protocol for downloading the Mac OS ROM. As the Mac OS ROM loads, it then begins loading the full operating system over standard Apple filing protocol. I'm going to log in using my personal account that I've already set up on this system. Users can have different kinds of interfaces and different kind of access to the network. In this case, I want to use a standard Finder interface, the one that all Macintosh users are accustomed to. And you'll see that everything looks and feels exactly like a Macintosh. The users don't compromise the experience that they normally expect. And on top of that, one of the great things about NetBoot is that it runs all standard Macintosh applications. This is AppleWorks 5, the latest and greatest version from Apple. And I can open I can open files, use menus, and the performance is very good over the network. And all this is loading in from network. I'm using an application from the server, and I'm using a document that I've made ahead of time and stored in my local in my personal directory on the network. You can also see that I have personalized settings. I like the big Happy Mac picture on my desktop, and I get that. And no matter where I sit down at, the desktop is going to look exactly the same to me. So if I logged out of this machine and logged into another one, it would look exactly the same. Another great feature of the NetBoot server is the ability for users to access their documents anywhere they are in the network. Wherever they log in, their personal directory is automatically mounted and available to them, so they always have access to their personal files. And now I'm going to show you how easy it is to administer the NetBoot network from any of the Macintoshes on your network. The NetBoot server includes a couple of tools for making management simple. One of the tools is the Macintosh Manager. Administrators use the Macintosh Manager to set up users and workgroups on the network, and then assign access controls and interface configurations for each of those users. And the Macintosh Manager is a very simple GUI interface usable by just about anybody. The first step in using Mac Manager is setting up new users. I'm going to do that now. I can click on New User, add a name in, choose Save, and I've now set up a new user. Now, each user can have some additional information about them, whether they're just a regular user, or whether I want to assign additional rights and network access for those users to be administrators on the network. Each user on the network must also be part of a workgroup. Setting up new workgroups is very simple. I click on New Workgroup, I type in the name of the workgroup, and I choose Save. I can create as many workgroups as I'd like, and I can assign users to multiple workgroups. In this case, I'm going to take my new user, Fred, and assign him to the Mac OS X server workgroup. But I also want Fred to be part of the Finder group. So I'll also add him to the Finder group, and I'll save those changes. Now when Fred logs in, he can be and choose any one of those two workgroups. And the administrator can define those two workgroups in different ways, so that if Fred is in one class, he gets one kind of environment, and if he's in a different class or in a lab environment, he gets a separate environment. I can also define access controls and options for accessing resources in the network by workgroup as well. A lot of people have multiple AppleShare servers on the network, or you might have other Mac OS X server machines in the network providing file services. I can automatically mount those file services at login for each user in that workgroup if I'd like. I can also define what kind of printers would be available to each of the users on the network, and also create quotas for each user on those printers. So it's not to overburden my printers and waste a lot of resources. And lastly, I can define a lot of things about how each of these users and the environments that they use, their desktop patterns, their preferences, how those persist. One of the ways I do that is using a global server setting that defines what preferences persist and what don't. The administrator can scale their interface to provide a full preference persistence. All the applications that are available, all the preferences persist. The user gets a fully customized environment, or they can also move to a less persistent, less customized environment that may be more appropriate for more transient type of users. Now I want to show you how easy it is to administer the operating system and applications for your network. Administering the network really is as easy as administering a single Macintosh. We've included an application in the NetBoot server software called NetBoot Desktop Admin. The NetBoot Desktop Admin application allows an administrator to sit down at any NetBoot client and configure and administer the system image and the application image that reside on the server. Every machine on the network shares these two images, so changes to these two images affect all the NetBoot Macintoshes on your network. It's easy as running this application, going back into the system, making the changes to your system or adding applications, and then running this application again. Once this is finished, the next time your NetBoot clients log in, they'll have access to all the new applications. This really makes it easy to administer the network. You don't have to go around all the machines and add applications. You can add them once in one place, sitting at one client, and the entire network is managed.
Hi, I'm Bill McGlasson. I'm the product manager for AppleShare and a variety of other network and server products. In addition to the exceptional support for the internet that you've seen with macOS 10 Server, it also delivers great value for Macintosh clients specifically. It includes a highly scalable implementation of AppleShare's file services, or AFP, which can allow AppleShare clients to connect over either TCP/IP or AppleTalk. The file server is capable of handling over 1,000 simultaneous user connections and opening over 4,000 files per process. All of this power can be administered remotely using web-based tools derived from those included with AppleShare IP61. Let's take a quick look at the remote admin tool that we're shipping with macOS 10 Server. So I brought up my favorite web browser, and I've connected to the macOS 10 Server page being served by our server here. I'm going to connect over a special port 311. And what that allows me to do is to load a Java applet that can be accessed from either Mac or PC. And it allows the server administrator to log on and authenticate with the server. When I've done that, it gives me a status report of the server. I can stop and start the server from here. I get a rundown of the different network connections, as well as the AppleTalk name and connection and zone information. So that's all entailed within the status button. I have a couple of other buttons up here at the top as well. One is users, which allows me to create, edit users or create or edit groups. And I can do most of my main maintenance from here as well, remotely from any machine. One of the common ones you're going to get is the ability to change a user's password because they've forgotten it. Easy to do from any web browser. I also have another button for the file services. This brings up a status bar which gives me a current CPU cycle for the server itself. It also gives me a quick histogram of the server traffic over a period of time. And then below that it tells me who is currently connected to the server. At this point I've got no users tied in, but otherwise I would see that they've been connected for a certain period of time and how long they've been idle. Down below that I also can set the disk and share points, so that the volumes that I want to share out to the clients can be controlled from there, as well as a few other server settings. I have an online help which is available to me here, and then when I'm done administering it, I can log out and close that connection. So what this does is this web administration tool allows us to really harness the power of this file server and the fact that I can have thousands of simultaneously connected users, but it's a breeze for a server administrator to be able to control this access and to be able to administer that server. In addition to the exceptional support for the internet that you've seen with macOS 10 Server, it also delivers great value for Macintosh clients specifically. It includes a highly scalable implementation of AppleShare File Services, or AFP, which can allow any AppleShare client to connect over TCP/IP or AppleTalk. The file server is capable of handling over 1,000 simultaneous user connections and opening over 4,000 files per process. All of this power can be administered using the web-based tools that were derived from those included with AppleShare IP61. As you recognize the compelling value in macOS 10 Server, you also realize that it's a perfect complement for AppleShare IP. AppleShare IP is the world's easiest to use server software suite, providing general purpose services for both Macintosh and Windows clients, including file and print, POP and IMAP mail services, a domain name server, as well as built-in firewall capabilities. These features have made AppleShare IP the most popular server software in education, and have also made the Macintosh Server G3 the leading server hardware in the design and publishing marketplace. In contrast, macOS 10 Server is a specialized server targeting customers who want to implement one of its new innovative features. including such things as a powerful Apache-based web server, serving out dynamic web-based applications with WebObjects, net booting Macintoshes, or providing greater scalability for Macintosh file services. In the future, Mac OS X Server will be built upon the Mac OS X client operating system, and it will include the functionality from both AppleShare as well as the current Mac OS X Server product. This will allow us to provide the best of both worlds in the products going forward.
So you've seen all the great services available in Mac OS X Server, and best of all, they're all available today in 2 versions, Shrink Wrap and Polycarbonate. The Shrink Wrap version of Mac OS X Server is a software product that will install on any Power Macintosh G3 or Macintosh Server G3 with at least 64 megabytes of RAM. Of course, you'll want more for heavy-duty server solutions. This includes all the services we talked about here, the Apache Web Server, WebObjects Application Services, Macintosh Management and NetBoot Workgroup Management Services, as well as standard Apple File Services. All of these are available with an unlimited license for unlimited client connections up to what your hardware can handle, except for WebObjects, where we have a 50 transaction per minute limit. You need to buy additional licenses to do larger sites like the Apple Store. In addition, we are also including the full suite of WebObjects developer tools, a $14.99 value for the incredible price of $4.99. And we're very excited to make this available today through the Apple Store and many other fine Apple distribution channels. In addition, if you don't want the hassle of installing it on an existing system, or you want to take advantage of some of the great new G3 hardware available, we have available a hardware bundle known as the Macintosh Server G3 with Mac OS X Server. This is an exciting product built on our top-of-the-line server hardware, supporting a variety of key options, including a 4-port Ethernet card. It includes all the software we talked about as Mac OS X Server pre-installed on your hard drive, so you can get up and running in just a few minutes with the same licensing terms, and that will be available for $49.99. There's a number of key technologies that we include in the Macintosh Server G3 to support Mac OS X Server, starting with the 400 megahertz PowerPC G3 chip with Pentium-eating performance. We include 256 megabytes of RAM, expandable to a 1 gigabyte, as well as 2 9 gigabyte 10,000 RPM Ultra 2 LVD SCSI drives for incredibly fast performance in serving up web pages or other files to clients. We include a single channel Ultra 2 LVD SCSI card, which can also be connected to external disks. We include a standard CD-ROM. We include not just a built-in 10100 Ethernet card, but also a full 4-port 10100 Ethernet card, so you can get up to 500 megabits of theoretical throughput from a single server. And of course, all the standard CDs, including a restore CD, so you can easily recreate your factory-installed hard drive condition. If that's not enough for you, there's a number of exciting BTO options available with the Macintosh Server G3, whether you want to add additional memory, additional or larger hard drives, 9 gigabyte, 18 gigabyte, or even 36 gigabyte for very, very powerful servers, over 100 gigabytes in a single enclosure, as well as other options such as gigabit Ethernet, a dual channel Ultra 2 SCSI card, additional Ultra SCSI cards, as well as an external tape drive for backup. Some items may not be available at introduction, but they'll all be there real soon, so you can really take advantage of the full power of Mac OS X Server on Apple hardware. There's a number of support options available as part of these products. The Macintosh Server G3 includes free 90-day installation support. For additional support, you need to purchase pay-per-incident or annual contracts, either 5x12 or 7x24. This allows you to make sure that you can take advantage of the full power of your Mac OS X server with advice from helpful and friendly Apple support experts.
I'm Fred Reynolds, a Solutions Marketing Manager with Apple Computer, and I'm here today to talk about third-party solutions that are available for the Mac OS X server. Apple's Mac OS X server represents the first release of a major new operating system. Now, typically, when you find support for a new operating system from third parties, it's usually pretty limited for some period of time after its release. However, because the Mac OS X server is built on industry-wide standards, like the Mach microkernel and a full BSD environment, there are already many applications and tools that support the Mac OS X server. In fact, with every copy of Mac OS X server, Apple is including a CD-ROM of over 20 demonstration applications and developer tools. Over the next several minutes, we'll look at a few of these, as well as some of the applications either forthcoming or just now coming to the market. Apple has worked with our third-party partners to provide compelling solutions in internet, print publishing, and education areas. We'll start by looking at some print publishing solutions. The Zynet company offers FullPress, a file server, print spooler, and OPI software. The file serving software supports the Apple filing protocol over TCP/IP. In addition, there's great color matching technology using something called Color Verite. Here we see a workflow, a typical OPI workflow using the FullPress product, where an image is brought in from a scanner or other digital source, brought to the central server, where a for placement only image is brought down to work with page layout software. Concurrently, the high resolution image can be manipulated by photo reproduction software. When it's time for printing, the two images are married together and brought out to color proofers, image setters, or online proofing devices. Zynet also makes a companion product called WebNative, which can take the for placement only images, store them in a database, and automatically convert them for web use. This creates a new opportunity for profit services for prepress shops and commercial printers. A new software product, Avatar, from Avatar Works Limited, is actually a document-centric workgroup collaboration product. It's built ground up for the macOS X server. It allows you to manage and form groups, and as well supports drag and drop, and works in progress, such as check-in, check-out, and locking of records and others. The German software company Helios is so impressed by macOS X server, they've brought their entire product family to the 10 server line. Helios EtherShare OPI is their premier product, an OPI color server with support for Macintosh, Windows, and Unix clients. It also offers ColorSync compatible color separations and proofing. For those customers who do not need the full OPI services, Helios also offers a product called EtherShare. EtherShare is an AppleShare file server supporting AFP over TCP/IP, and it offers spooling and printing services. In addition, it can function as a font server. The EtherShare administration is extremely easy. It's configured from a Mac client and uses Mac ease of use. Helios also offers a companion product, PCShare. PCShare provides native Windows file services, or SMB file services, as well as DHCP services to a Windows environment. It can route between network cards, and it also can print and use your local PC printers. It's also compatible with EtherShare on a volume basis and for print queues, and this allows you to use your macOS X server and the built-in UFS volume for a sole volume that can share files between Mac and Windows and Unix clients using their native and preferred protocols. Helios's Print Preview provides previewing services for any PostScript job. The actual preview is in a PDF format. The preview can be printed or it can be viewed on screen. Composite impressions can be obtained, or separation plates, or both. And then finally, job ticket information is provided within the preview itself, which can be used for accounting purposes. The companion product, Helios PDF Handshake, provides print separations of PDF files as well as proof printing of PDF files. And this will be very important for those customers who are using PDF workflows. From Canto, the Cumulus Network product now supports macOS X. Cumulus Network is a digital asset manager. It organizes and manages all digital assets, and that includes file types like sound, video, as well as text and graphic images. You can find any file within seconds. Remote administration is provided to support both Mac and Windows clients, as well as CGI is provided to work with the macOS X's built-in Apache server to allow you to serve your Canto catalogs directly over the internet. AGFA has recently announced the Apogee Xserve and Xserve OPI products. The Xserve product is a file and print server, while the Xserve OPI product also provides OPI services. Now let's discuss the internet services available for macOS X server. A company named Stalker Software provides the Communicate Pro product. Communicate Pro is advertised as the internet messaging service. It supports a number of important email protocols, SMTP, and for remote access of mail, IMAP4, POP3, and HTTP-based web email. It also supports the LDAP directory service and many other 4-letter protocols. It can provide support for many servers by clustering and can support literally hundreds of thousands of accounts from one Communicate Pro software. For those customers interested in providing e-commerce websites, Running Start has provided RS Commerce. It's a modular toolkit with applications and frameworks to build your own e-commerce website. Catalog management, customer purchase, credit checks, and customer history can all be built readily using the modular framework that's built on WebObjects. Lundin offers a product called Web Crossing. Web Crossing is an IP standards-based conferencing solution. It provides 2 functions: a discussion forum with full NNTP client access. It's a very scalable product that can serve literally over 100,000 page views a day. In addition, the Web Crossing product also offers a chat feature. There's a 5-client license that's built into Web Crossing that can be expanded by going to their site. Finally, we'll talk about the education services available for macOS X Server. In the education arena, KeyServer is a well-known and popular product from a company called Sassafras Software. It provides software license management, supporting both Mac and Windows clients, and can support both a desktop and a portable client. We expect KeyServer to be very popular as it's highly complementary to the NetBoot service to allow for licensing of software from a central server. Sassafras has stated on their website that in real-world tests of KeyServer on similar systems, macOS X Server performs over twice as fast as Windows NT 4.0. As we've seen, macOS X Server already enjoys robust support from third-party developers of commercial software. And looking forward, we can expect to see additional support in many different application areas. As well, we expect exciting support from the open source community.
Well, as you've heard, macOS X Server is a very exciting product from Apple Computer. It's our first modern operating system, delivers incredible capabilities for use as an internet and web server, as a publishing server coupled with these exciting, innovative third-party publishing solutions, and it represents a revolutionary new way to manage Macintosh clients using the NetBoot feature. We're very excited about the product and expect that it'll be able to deliver great capabilities for you and your network. macOS X Server is available today in 2 configurations as a standalone software retail kit, and we include macOS X Server pre-installed on a special Macintosh Server G3 configuration that has all of the hardware and software built in and ready to go. This is a great product, and we thank you very much for listening to this videotape. If you want to earn Learn and Earn points for viewing this video, submit an email including the secret code phrase, "More power to you," with the following information: your name, your email address, your company, and the secret code phrase. Send that to learn.earn@apple.com if you're a channel partner. And if you're an internal Apple employee, send the email to learn.earn.int@apple.com.